On the NBA right now, as a couple of games getting ready to go to the break, the Pacers clawed their way back in a little bit, trying to get this thing as close as possible. 60-47 is the Timberwolves taking it out on them. You also have the Nets up by 3 against Detroit, 57-54. And the Miami Heat and the Dallas Mavericks are in a pretty good one here. Heat up by 5 right now, 45-40 here, as we've got about 8 minutes left to go in that one here. We got some great games coming up here later tonight as well there, Dave. I mean, all eyes are obviously going to be, I think, Boston and Denver. And unless I'm crazy, I'm still seeing Brown as questionable, which is interesting. Because if you haven't bet the game yet here, Dave, and Brown doesn't go, how big a line move are we talking here towards Denver?
Probably flip it back to the favorite. -1, 1.5, and see what happens with it. It's not going to be more than that, but yeah, it'll be a move. Denver will close the favorite, even with a quick start. Denver's going to move. I think you're going to see this thing all over the place.
Never mind.
Tonight. This will be a fun game
just
to
came
watch.
Out. He's active, so Brown's owing. So now the question is, now that he is going, does it start creeping up a little more? Does the Boston money start coming in? Maybe that's what they were waiting for.
Well, there it is. It just lit up. The board just lit up. It's Boston -2. So,
there you go.
Done deal. There it goes.
Ask and you shall receive.
Just like that.
My goodness. Well, keep an eye on it. So it's 2 now. So, all right. Well, that's great news if you were holding off on Denver, because you can probably get a better number with that game coming up at 10 o'clock. And what are we going to do with Golden State here, people? I don't know what to make of this team. I was impressed last night that they took out their frustrations on the Milwaukee Bucks. They got the Chicago Bulls tonight here, Taylor. But let me ask you, are you buying Golden State in the long run here in this in the Western Conference? Do you think they could be a dark horse? Certainly have the experience.
I don't think so. I don't know. The Golden State Warriors, I think the only reason sometimes we see games like we did last night where they dominated the Bucks is because you've still got such a playmaker and one of the best players to ever play the game in Steph Curry. There's still going to be those glimpses in those shots of great play, great wins that they're able to overcome. I still don't think they have enough horsepower behind them. They're still an aging roster in order for them to really do damage within the West when it gets to the playoffs.
So, Dave, it's funny because Golden State, the tale of two pre-suspension and post-suspension with them. And now you got to ask yourself, do they have enough in the tank to really make a run at this? I think the same question could be asked of the New York Knicks, because I don't know how many more injuries they can sustain. I don't know how they're supposed to somehow flip on a switch and just and go to town. But I do know Gilbert McGregor of the Sporting News joined Craig Mish on Newswire earlier today, and he's got some thoughts, and maybe, just maybe, this could be the right time to buy into the Knicks. Here's what he had to say.
That would be it. If the Knicks finish 4th or 5th, advancing past the first round would guarantee you a date with Boston. I guess not necessarily guarantee. We saw a number 1 seed lose last year in the opening round, but it would all but guarantee a meeting with the Celtics. So maybe they would rather finish 6th than 4th or 5th. I think the thing other than seeding is momentum. You mentioned that the Knicks were one of the hottest teams in the NBA after they made that trade for OG Anunoby. The vibes were great in New York City. I think their fans had rallied around that team and really felt a certain sense of magic about that. And, they go down 1 starter, then it's 2, then it's 3 and 4. So now, any NBA team that's down 4 starters would certainly feel it the same way this Knicks team is feeling it. I guess now the focus can shift to when you get those guys back in the lineup. I think they dodged, a major injury with Jalen Brunson. They hope to get Julius Randle back. OG Anunoby maybe is turning the corner on getting back, and Mitchell Robinson's the one who has the biggest question mark. But they can get those guys back with enough of a runway to get reacclimated ahead of the playoffs, then I think they should still feel good because ultimately, if you want to make a deep run, and we were talking about the Knicks potentially making a surprise deep run, you have to beat teams like the Celtics or the Bucks or the Cavaliers. So it doesn't matter if you see them in the first round or second round. You have to be good enough to do that, and they do have enough talent, and they have the infrastructure to at least make some noise in the postseason.
So, Dave, what do you think? I mean, this would be, if you're going to buy low, now would be the time to buy low on the Knicks. The question is, if they get everyone healthy back, do you think maybe that extra rest kind of works in their favor?
I'll do a U. No.
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 Celtics are playing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Doesn't matter who's coming back, who's not coming back. That's the Eastern Conference Finals right now. You can see it when you look at the conference odds. You got a favorite. I mean, you got a minus money favorite. So the Celtics, unless something crazy happens, and then a little bit of a gap to Milwaukee. And after that, it's let's go, please get some money and maybe hope someone can actually win 2 playoff series to make sure that one of those other teams isn't there. So, no, I appreciate Gilbert's position, but no, I don't see the Knicks. Everybody getting healthy at the right time, right before the season ends, gets 1 or 2 games together. They can win a first-round series. I don't think they can beat Boston or Milwaukee in a 7-gamer.
Oh, Taylor, please tell me it's not. It just seems too easy. Like, that's the problem that kills me. Like, how much the books are going to love. Oh, yeah, get Boston. And then I worry that it's just too simple. I mean, sometimes if it's, it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, I get it. It's a damn duck. But is it just, it's just give it to Boston here? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, actually, I agree with Dave with the Knicks. I think, no, if you're high on this Knicks team right now would be the time to bet them, because it looks like hopefully soon they're going to be getting Jalen Brunson back and OG Anunoby. But a team that I think is getting a little bit of disrespect in the East, when I just saw those standings up there and the odds, are the Magic. They're 4th in the East right now, but they're bottom 3 in the Eastern Conference odds to win the Eastern Conference. I think the Orlando Magic are a little bit of a sneaky team that people aren't looking at. They're top 10 in the league right now in point differential. That's saying something, but yet they're that far down for the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying they're going to go out and win the Eastern Conference. Just think there needs to be somebody that's giving them more of a look. They could make a bit more of a deeper run than we expect in the East.
This is good. They play on Saturday. They play on Saturday.
You hear that dog barking,
Orlando
Dave?
plays New York on Saturday. I went ahead. No, they're dogs. I just looked. There's 2 books that I saw that have it up. The Knicks are 1.5-point favorites. So remember that. Put that in the memory bank. Saturday, Orlando Magic live dog.
Woof. Woof, people. Taylor, that was a great call, by the way, on Orlando. Great call, because quietly they're just running teams over. Back-to-back doesn't make a difference. They're not the greatest shooting team, but they play some of the best defense. They've got the size, certainly the athleticism. And in, playoff basketball, when a series is, best 4 out of 7, they are going to be absolutely nobody's going to want to play them, I think. So I think that is a great call at a great price at the right time for Orlando, because like Dave said, if they win a couple of more games here along the way, I think that number is not going to be what we're seeing right now. So there is an opportunity if you're looking for a dark horse with the Orlando Magic for sure. But we also have the Phoenix Suns that somebody needs to stick a fork in them. Hopefully Taylor is going to do that when we come back. They're taking Toronto. They're Hart Phoenix Suns, not Dave and I, but it's Taylor. So if she sticks a fork in them, we're right behind her. We'll find out next here on The Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line
only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
This
is the Penn State
rule. Be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
InGame Live, PrimeTime.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. It is InGame Live, and we are PrimeTime on this Thursday. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan, Taylor Mathis here with us as we got quite a slate of games coming up tonight in the association. We'll start with a game coming up at the top of the hour involving Taylor's Phoenix Suns, who by far have burned money like no other this season here. And whether it's Beal out or Booker out, you know, ironically enough, like it's Durant and his 12 burner accounts are the one that have been the steadying force on his Phoenix Suns team all season long, Taylor. It's kind of mind-blowing because he's usually over the last couple of years been the one guy that, like, is he playing? Is Durant playing? Is he not? But he has been, to his credit, the steady force. But it's if they don't have the big 3, then what do they have here, Taylor? Like, why? It's a big number here tonight, but Toronto's got nobody either. But what are we doing with Phoenix?
Well, exactly. It's funny that you say that. We were talking about unders earlier, and I'm all over the under on this game. 33.5 between the Suns, and I've actually seen that rise all the way up to 234 now. If you do the math on this, the Suns average 117 points per game. The Raptors average 114 points per game. You add those together, we're 231. That's below that 234 mark. Tonight, both squads are completely depleted with injuries. The Suns are going to be without Devin Booker. You've got Toronto without Bruce Brown and without Scotty Barnes. That makes me think we're not going to see as much scoring as we normally do when the Toronto Raptors play without Scotty Barnes as well. They only average 104 points a game. The Suns, as I spoke to earlier, they've actually hit 6 unders out of the 7 games that they've played after the All-Star break. The only game that went over was that game in OT against the Denver Nuggets earlier this week. Give me the under on this game, although it's juiced to the over right now.
You buying the Suns, Dave? Please tell me you're not buying the Suns at all.
Yeah, the Suns will
in
cover
10
tonight.
points.
Yeah.
Like
Suns will cover.
tonight. What? Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Suns will cover tonight. No problem. This is when they're not supposed. Like they just won at Denver, right?
That's
on
true.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
won in overtime by 10 at Denver. So what will they do tonight? They'll probably win by close to 20. They'll smoke Toronto. And then Saturday night, they play the Celtics in Phoenix.
Yes.
And it's the national TV game. It'll be packed. And they'll lay an egg. That's you kind of map it out. Yeah. So the computer says Phoenix by 10. That's right on the number. I mean, they're calling it a shot. I think they win and cover.
Yep. Blowout city. And you got to love this, right? So now we're looking for, and hopefully, right, we do. We want Phoenix to win by 15. We want everyone to hop up on the Phoenix train because they want them, Dave, to say, oh, look at that. Back-to-back wins. They just beat Denver. Look at this. They destroyed Toronto. And then they come into Boston and get absolutely mauled. That's not a bad way to look at it, is it, Dave?
Yeah, they'll be a home dog. If Denver's a home dog tonight against Boston, win or lose, Phoenix is a home dog, probably by a couple buckets. And all the sharp guys, all the rhombuses, parallelograms, they'll all have the Suns. Home dog coming off 2 big wins this week. And they'll be wondering why afterward. Yeah, they can already see it happening.
You know it's happening. That's why the look ahead in the NBA is so much fun. It's all about scheduling. It's all about situations here. We've got another one coming up here tonight in an interesting one involving the Sacramento Kings here, Taylor, taking on the San Antonio Spurs. And, well, Dave, Taylor's, she's going to be, she's got a best bet in this game here. But the Kings last night, it did not look good early, Dave, because I was watching this game and I'm going to look at the Lakers. Like they have finally, could this be like that final push? And then, you know, the wheels fell off by the time we got to the break and it just didn't get any better as that game went on here. But, they're home, Sacramento now. They got to take on the Spurs, who quietly have been a giant pain in the you-know-what here, Dave. The Spurs have really played some decent basketball. Are you buying them here tonight against Sacramento on the back-and-back?
Numbers enough to keep you off of them, but how many times do you see a team, 2.5-point road dog, win outright? You know, they end up blowing them out. Come home on a back-to-back, laying 11. It doesn't happen on a back-to-back unless the dance partner is a really bad basketball team. And I guess the Spurs fit that bill. But with the back-to-back situation and the emotion of the Laker game and everything else, and they played great from that mid-second quarter on. They played really good team basketball. De'Aaron Fox was great. Watched the whole game here, enjoying every moment of it, going, boy, I wonder who they play next. Oh, wow. They play the Spurs the next night. Might be a fade. Yep. The number's enough to keep me off of it. Hopefully Taylor has a prop or something to look at because I got nothing side or total.
I'll tell you this. Wembanyama is not in tonight here. So San Antonio, to me, is unbettable if he's not in. So what's in the prop market? Where do we look here, Taylor?
Well, I originally, when Wembanyama was not ruled out, I was going to lean towards Sabonis under on his rebounds of 14.5. Now, because of that, it makes me maybe lean towards the over. I didn't really pick a prop in this game because of the mismatch that we had going on there. I did take the 11 points, though, with the Spurs because I agree. I don't think with coming off this back-to-back laying that big of a number that the Spurs can't keep it close. They've been pesky for a lot of teams this season.
Massive letdown spot here. A lot goes into that. I think that game last night, and it's been a rough couple of stretches here for Sacramento. So, and again, San Antonio has been pretty darn good here over the last week, giving teams. They even won a couple of games in a row. How dare they? But no Wembanyama here tonight, which might make things a little bit difficult, but we'll see what they've got left in the tank. And, of course, we talked about the Celtics and Nuggets game, and the line has, in fact, increased. Oddly enough, the total hasn't moved. So we know Brown has been ruled in. He's been questionable all day. Once he was put active, I'm seeing 2s now. But the total's still hovering around 221. So, Taylor, were you looking at the total or the side in this one?
Well, I went with the side, and obviously, like we've talked about, this numbers moved all over the place. I took it when the Celtics were at +1. I mean, both of these teams are coming off of losses. Boston has done a great job of not allowing losses to string together this season. They haven't dropped back-to-back games since November 8th. And they're 11-1 this season straight up after a loss. The C's have more to play for year after year. This team comes up short. They just miss it every single time. And this game gives Boston a chance to see what they can do and what they'd be able to do if this is going to be an NBA Finals preview. Boston isn't going to let up on this opportunity to beat Denver tonight and let it slip through their fingers. Give me the Celtics, and I'm also going to take small forward Jason Tatum over 4.5 assists. Tatum's hit this over 80% of the time through his last 10 games, and he's never missed this line against the Nuggets. Tatum over 4.5 assists tonight.
Don't hate it, but Dave, I mean, it just, to me, it makes no sense. If these two teams are equal, okay, and I think these two teams are equal, there's no way Denver should be getting 2 points for home court advantage. Like, no way they should be getting 2 points in here. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. And here's the other problem. Didn't we see this last month? Like, didn't Denver go to Boston, who was unbeatable in Boston, as a 7-point underdog and wax the floor with them? So what am I missing here, Dave, tonight?
What's the revenge spot? It makes perfect sense. I mean, you can see the argument for both sides, but the argument, Taylor just made it for the Celtics, totally can happen. But both of them losing the other night, Denver doing it at home, Boston with the biggest Cleveland comeback since there's been NBA play-by-play. There was, I mean, you can't blow a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. They did. So how does both of those things come together in a finals preview game in Denver? For me, it's just slight lean to the home team. I think the high altitude, you've heard that like since the beginning of time, since Denver got a team, that's a factor. Well, that's the tipping point for me. But I still think it's a defensive game. I'm looking at props. I'd be looking at some unders. I like that Tatum over with assists because I think Denver says make someone else beat you by giving up the ball. They play Tatum defensively to not shoot pass the ball. So he'll probably go over his assists. I just don't know if that leads them to victory.
I would love to look at like the big man and some points props up, but look at this total, Taylor. It's not going anywhere. It's 221. So maybe we're looking at a lot more defense, right? It's like I don't know what to even consider. Maybe the assist is the way to go, but because points would scare me with this lower total.
I have a random plus money play that I'll throw out as a little bit of a bonus. Kristaps Porzingis over 2.5 made threes. Last meeting with Denver, he made 3 out of 5. His season average sits right around 2. So yes, it's a little risky, but you are getting plus money on this. And my thought is this game's going to be competitive. It's going to be close. We might see there in the fourth quarter some launched up threes.
What? I like that. Some desperation threes, always a good thing in the prop market. We'll check out the live scoreboard next year on the grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live primetime on this Thursday now, March the 7th. Want to thank you so much for hanging out with us as we have got our eye in the NBA here tonight with some great matchups coming up here. Top of the hour with the Phoenix Suns and the Raptors. And then, of course, we'll have a lot of eyeballs on the Denver Nuggets at home as an underdog against the Boston Celtics. But currently, we're seeing the Pistons finally get it together at home, and they are on top of the Nets right now, 82-75. The Pacers were down as many as 18 against the Timberwolves. We told you about that earlier. It was a 33-23 first quarter there as Karl Anthony Towns, we're just going to run you over, Pacers. And the Pacers have obviously had other thoughts about this in the second half. They're now up to 68-66, and the Heat and Mavericks are at the break right now, 58-54. So let me ask you, Taylor, of the games currently on, were you on anything in these 3 games here? Did you look at the Heat and the I took the 4.5 with the Heat, but you were mentioning off there. What the hell was that line? Like, how in the world is it just a 4.5 line here? What were you thinking in that one?
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing as you. I also took the 4.5 with the Heat because why would you not? The Heat, since the All-Star break, they've looked like the Heat. They look like the team that always makes it into the playoffs, and they're always a problem. They always just fly right under that radar. They've won 6 of their 7 games since the All-Star break, and Dallas is on the opposite end of that. They've lost 3 in a row, and they've lost 5 of 6 since the All-Star break. So I'm a little confused as to why Dallas was the favorite going into this one, especially because I feel like both of these teams are fairly evenly matched when you look at them.
It's a good point. I mean, Dave, which one of these games, the early starts, were you leaning one way or the other here? It kind of hard not to look at the Heat here with the way they've played.
Want nothing to do with that game. I looked at that game. Dallas has been giving people problems, giving books problems, odds makers problems, because the numbers say they should be favored. And I think they're 1-5 in their last 6 against the number. Home against the Heat, yeah, they should be. Put it up 4.5, 4, whatever it is, and you get another Luka outstanding offensive performance, but a Mavericks loss. So no, nothing to do with that game.
Yep.
My game is this
another triple-double, but another loss.
Right. Forget about it. It's Brooklyn and the Pistons, baby. The Pistons got 9 wins. They're home underdogs tonight to Brooklyn. I mean, this is one of our guy, Cam Stewart, God bless him and everything he's going through right now. But I thought of him tonight. I said, dumpster dive. We're going Pistons. Money line. I don't want the 2.5.
Absolutely.
Although you're always supposed to take the points. When the book gives it to you, take the points. Don't be a hero. But sprinkle in some money line tonight. Pistons winning for win number 10. Double-digit wins. That's as excited as I could get about the early slate. Minnesota and Indiana.
With you.
Just over. But after that injury news, all over the place, that hurts.
Yep. But we worry because usually what happens when a star goes down like this, you always worry about that first game where the team rallies around them and goes, you know what I mean? You always get that bump in that first game without the star. But it certainly happened early in this game, but it really has been since about the end of the second quarter into the third. It's a 19-8 run to start the third quarter right now. It's all Pacers here as the Timberwolves trying to put it together, 68 apiece there. And I am with you, Dave, on the Detroit pit. How in the world, why would the Brooklyn Nets on the second of a back-to-back, and they've been on a nice run, right? They're 4-2 against the number in the last 6. Don't get me wrong. But this is a back-to-back, and guys are dropping like flies. They lost Cam Johnson again. They got no Cam Thomas. Ben Simmons, thankfully, has finally been like, maybe you should stop playing forever, or just this year anyway. So, he's out. So, what in the world are we doing here? I get the Pistons are terrible, but they're 13-7 against the number in the last 20. They really have started to figure some things out. I didn't see any reason not to take the points or the money line. 85-81. Big fourth quarter coming up here. We'll see which one of those teams can put it together here and finish the other off. We do have a late game here. We talked Celtics Nuggets, 10 o'clock Eastern time, but there is another game involving the Chicago Bulls taking on the Warriors. Now, both these teams played last night, Taylor, and we watched the Warriors handle business at home against the Bucks. We also watched the Bulls handle business here. So what do we do in this spot here? I mean, the Bulls quietly have a nice little stretch here that they're putting together. Do we trust them getting 8 points tonight against the Warriors?
I to the prop market in this one because a lot of people might view after that Warriors resounding victory against the Bucks last night that this would be a letdown game. But really, this is an excellent spot for Draymond Green to go over 4.5 assists. Green should find plenty of opportunities to be able to dish it out to his teammates tonight. He's exceeded this line 65% of the time this season and had 10 and 7 dimes in his most recent meetings with Chicago. The Bulls surrender assists per game to their opponents, 9th most in the NBA. And it's a large part due to their susceptibility to catch and shoot opportunities. I'm going to ride with Green over 4.5 assists tonight and stick to the props.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad. I hate two teams on the second of back-to-back, but ironically enough, I'm not seeing any injury designations for Golden State. So I guess a clean bill of health across the board. I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary for Chicago either on the second of a back-to-back. I mean, Golden State 16-6 against the number since Draymond came back from the suspension. They are clearly a different team, but are they an 8-point favorite different team in this one?
Maybe. Golden State maybe getting it together, boys and girls. It may
But you're wearing the Caruso
again.
lid,
One
dude. You're
run.
wearing the you can't be repping
thought,
Chicago.
There he goes.
If we're going to Mondays and Thursdays and Chicago's playing, I thought for sure Taylor was coming with the Caruso prop. So I was ready to go.
I didn't take you seriously like that, Dave.
Well, look, we got to get ready. This is what we got to do. When Caruso's playing, we got to keep it ready to go. So, yeah, no, listen. I like Golden State, Joe. I like Golden State.
Really?
What? Caruso props over? No?
He's not on the injury report. I looked for the band. It's not there.
Last time he was scratched. We did this like 2 weeks ago, and he was scratched. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
The time before that, he went.
Oh, there he is.
That's us high-fiving right there. Look at that. That's my brother right there. High five.
Bad on so many levels.
Come on, Caruso.
Oh, I can't.
Let's go. We need more clips of Caruso. Look at this.
So wait a minute. Are we doing Caruso over threes? Wasn't that the play last night there? If I remember, it was Caruso. Was it
I think
over
it was
threes?
Caruso over threes. I believe.
Over threes.
Or over points. One or the other.
It was assist. I thought it was assist.
Wait, now that you say that, Dave, I think line might have been 4.5 assists.
That's what it was.
Okay, so
that's what it was.
Right.
Maybe
that was the winner. Yes. Yes, it was 4. It was 4.5. It was assists. So, yeah. Listen, this will be a fun game. I think the Warriors are getting it together to the point that I don't think anybody wants to see them in that play-in. It's getting like if the Warrior, if you got to go to Golden State and play to advance or go home, I think books and I think people are going to bet on Golden State. So I saw it last night. That was a fun game. They caught Milwaukee, perfect time. Giannis was ruled in. He's obviously not completely right. Golden State was just making shots. Steph was practicing his golf swing in between timeouts on the court. I mean, is it a letdown spot? You got the Bulls coming in? I don't know. Caruso's going to come in with these headbands. Maybe not. I like Golden State.
Well, let me ask you this. Because it also feels like, because both these two teams have been money to the under. Because Chicago is going to play physical, right? And outside of the three-point barrage that we saw in the first half, they haven't really, Golden State, they haven't dropped 140 points on, 130 points on anyone, and they've actually played some pretty good defense themselves. So, I mean, 7 straight unders heading into last night, make it 8 straight, and 12 of the last 14. So, I don't, at 223, is that what we're looking at? It opened up at 225.5. We're at 223. I mean, Taylor, it just feels like an under here. There's got either DeRozan or Steph Curry. Somebody is going to lead everyone in scoring, but that's it. I mean, other than that, I don't see this thing getting to 230 points. If it's not broke, why we fix it? The Bulls, I mean, have only played to 2 overs in the last 7 games.
I hear what you're saying, but you also made another interesting point. I'm curious what the odds might be for DeRozan to be the leading scorer in tonight's game instead of Steph Curry, because a play that I was eyeing, I didn't take it. I was going to take Steph under his points sitting at 25.5. He has just not been on it through his last 10 games. Very up and down, and more down than up when it's come to the scoring and the shooting. So I would be interested to see what that prop sits at in that market.
21.5 is what he was. I think it's up to 22.5 now, but he has gotten more than 21.5. 8 of his last 10, Dave, 14 of his last 20. DeRozan is a monster. Like he is absolutely the one guy I mean, that's a good call here. He averages about 26, 27 a game, and he's been on fire here, Dave. They're going to get blown out if DeRozan doesn't do something here tonight. So why not? 21, 22 points for DeRozan over in that prop market?
It almost becomes a head-to-head bet, right? And I like it because Steph on the back end of a back-to-back, if they get up, he's going to sit the fourth. So actually talking that through, there can't be many other guys in this game, period, that have a point total of 20-something points. Yep. So now head-to-head, we're getting a plus. It's a good. I like that, T. I like C. This is. I put on the Caruso headband. We talked through a bit.
Our wonderful producers just told me the odds. DeRozan to be the leading scorer in tonight's game plus 350. So might be worth putting a little bit of money on that.
Wow. All right. Well, let me tell you this. The last time they played, DeRozan dropped 39 points against the Warriors. So
there we go.
There we go. Now we got ourselves a show bet here. We didn't even have to really go that much dumpster diving here. This was good. And we got to see Dave in his Caruso bandana, which is always worth the price of admission, which is fantastic. Now we got to get you out there dribbling now. We will have a couple of best bets before we end the hour here. Taylor is going to lay out what she's looking at here tonight. Some good games. We got NHL as well, not to mention a lot of college basketball conference tournaments. We got so much more to get to here, and we're just getting started. We'll close it out with some best bets next here on In-Game Live Primetime here on the SportsGrid Network.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
this is
the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Letting points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-Game Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-Game Live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live prime time. As we wrap up this first hour, we will say goodbye here to Taylor Mathis, but not before she lays out a best bet here tonight for us. And these in-between breaks are very dangerous for us because the three of us start talking, and next thing I know, I got 28 bets here in the Chicago Bulls game I didn't have just 5 minutes ago. So, Taylor, lay it out for us. Where are you rolling for a best bet tonight?
Well, in the break, everybody, we decided Alex Caruso over 1.5 threes is a good play tonight. My favorite bet in that game is going to be the Draymond Green over the 4.5 assists or 5.5 assists, depending if you can still get it at that number. One bonus play I'll give for the weekend because it's an exciting rivalry within men's college basketball. UNC Duke. I'm going to ride with Duke this weekend to get that win and share the ACC title with UNC. I think that'll be a super exciting, fun game to watch. And I think the Blue Devils will get to RJ Davis and stop him a bit there.
Oh, look at that. That is, without a doubt, a good rivalry and should be one of the best games of the weekend. But you got it, guys. It is Caruso over 1.5 threes. If we stay on the air any longer, we're probably going to have 4 more bets in this game, Dave, before it is all said and done. And just to reiterate here, are we thinking the Suns cover this number before it tips off on the Raptors? Covers this one, and we bet against them the next one. Is that what we're going?
Yeah. I think so.
I want to say yes, but
I
it
think that's
doesn't
the move.
scare me every single game. So it's very hard for me to bet as a Suns fan because I could rant about them for an hour if I had the time. There's so many flaws in that team.
Denver and Boston.
Listen, I'm hoping they win. Let them win. Let them win.
Denver and Boston.
And we hammer.
I say Denver. Taylor says Boston. Joe?
Boston,
decide.
Yes. I'm going to go under because I don't think there's any reason based upon those records that we don't. So give me the under in that one. Taylor, always a pleasure. Best of luck. Let's cash those tickets. In-game live primetime, another hour next year on the grid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Off and running another hour of in-game live primetime here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan as we're keeping our eye across the scoreboard here, NBA-wise. We got a couple of pretty good games happening. We still have a couple of pretty good games that are going to tip off a little bit later, highlighted by, of course, the champs, the Denver Nuggets, hosting the Boston Celtics. We'll get you the latest on that coming up. But we got a lot going on also in the NHL here, Dave, tonight. And we got a good one there in Boston there with the Maple Leafs and the Bruins. How did this become a 3-1 Bruins lead here after I didn't see any scoring in this earlier on?
Yeah. Bruins were leading 2-1. Toronto got a power play goal, scored. There was a hit, and then there was a fight, and then there was another fight, and then there was a timeout, and then there was almost a bench clear, Everybody was getting very testy. It got down to 4-on-3, and the Bruins scored on the 4-on-3 to make it 3-1, and they just scored again. The momentum has swung completely.
Wow.
Boston just scored again. It's now 4-1. We're headed towards the over. It's getting super chippy. There's a minute and a half left. The Bruins are rolling. Listen, Leafs fans, I really, really like this team. But they can't beat Boston. They can't. They're not going to beat Boston.
Nope.
So, big night in the desert. I didn't realize that the Suns are hosting Toronto. But the Coyotes are hosting the Wild. Coyotes were gigantic favorites. I don't know if you saw it the other night. They were gigantic favorites. We were on with Wetzel, and he made the Blackhawk play of the night was on the Blackhawks under team total because they hadn't scored more than 2 goals in a game. Then they got to Arizona and scored 5. I mean, they lit them up. Minnesota short favorite tonight. It's about to, it went up to 150, 160.
Wow.
Minnesota tonight, just keep that streak alive against the Coyotes.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, Dave. What's the saying? If it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it. No need to. No, you're not. What I'm trying to do is trying to figure out. We just started the third period with my Panthers. They're knotted up 1 apiece against the Flyers here.
Strange.
It is strange, but the total is 4.5, Dave. Are we getting to 4.5, or is this a next goal wins type of thing? There's been some crazy hitting going on in this, and the goaltenders have been phenomenal for both the Panthers and the Flyers. So it could very well be a next goal kind of win situation here. 4.5?
Normally, 1-1, third period starts. I'm looking to bet under 4.5. Final score's 3-1, and you're good, right? If you think they're both going to score, it's an automatic over because 2-2 gets you over to 4.5 in overtime, no matter what. I don't know. I thought this game was going to go over pregame. I'm so impressed with Florida. I fall for it every. I mean, I'm not falling for it. I just keep betting them. I bet them when they were on that road trip up in New York, beat the Rangers, beat the Devils, beat the Islanders. So I don't know. I think I got Florida in regulation before the game to take off a little bit of the juice. So hopefully this game doesn't go to overtime. Total wise, Joe, I think I bet over 4.5 right now. I think both teams score another goal.
Ooh.
The only danger there is if you get 2-1 and they pull the goalie early, it goes 3-1, empty netter sits and dies on the floor with a 3-1 win. So no, I think over. Normally that's an under play. Yeah, but I think
that's
this
what
one's
I
over.
thought.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's over.
Panther, if you got him, if you had him pregame, then you're pretty much good set because I'm still seeing them knotted up 1 apiece right around the minus 180, 185 mark. So not going to happen there, but the 4.5s are available in that one. Can we just bring up your Penguins and then say nothing else the rest of the show about them here tonight? Because I think they're having an issue right now. They're done. The season done, right?
Yeah, this is when it begins. For teams heading towards the playoffs, the road starts tomorrow. They make a trade, new energy. It's like the trade deadline in baseball. We finish out the string. We're playing for the postseason. The teams that get trades from and are sellers, like the Penguins for the first time, I don't know in how long, 15 years, maybe 16 years, that they're a seller at the deadline. Getzel's out. I still think tomorrow we'll be talking about another person out, maybe 2. And I don't think they're going to fire the coach this year. But if they think they need to make a different voice go in the locker room or they have hopes that they can somehow still make the playoffs, maybe they will. But they're on auto fade pretty much the rest of the season. So Washington 5-0. That's it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We're done.
Washington has been on a over tear too. I think 8 of their last 9 games have seen 7 or more goals. I mean, it's who'd have thunk it there. I mean, it's almost just
Because
bet
they're
Washington
giving them
game
up.
overs. I know.
They're giving them up.
But
Penguins are being shut out.
Pittsburgh.
Shut out. It's a third period.
I don't know how that happens. I really
Can't
don't.
believe it.
They can't stop anything. Wow. Well, the over was 6.5. So unfortunately, you still need a couple of goals here. It is still in game 6.5, Dave. They did just drop the puck. So, I mean, there's 5 goals on the board, and the total is still what it was pre-flop at 6.5. Can we drop an over 6.5? What are you thinking?
No, don't. Don't talk me into this. No, because both teams.
I'm just saying. Listen, they're not getting shut out. The Penguins are not getting shut out.
Final. 5-1
No
final.
way.
That's it. Washington's done scoring. Dump and chase. Get rid of this game. They're not trying to score anymore. Penguins better not get shut out against the Capitals. That one hurts. In-game Edmonton. Can I interest you in in-game Edmonton against Columbus?
I don't. And listen, I had this game on. Like, Edmonton looks like they want to be anywhere but playing hockey right now because Columbus is making them look ridiculous. And by the way, Capitals just scored 6-0. So now we only need 1 goal, Penguins. 1 goal from you. That's it. 1. That's all we need from you. Sabres, by the way, trailing the Predators in the second. 2-1. The Canucks taking on the Golden Knights. We got Islanders and Sharks, along with the Senators and Kings coming up late night hockey. We will cover all of those games for you. Plus, we have an update from the NBA as well as college hoops here as in-game live primetime continues on a loaded slate here tonight on the Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games, yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in.
Third,
this is the Penn State rule.
Be better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
All right, welcome back in. It is In-Game Live, and we're prime time here on this Thursday in the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan. Let's take a quick look here at the scoreboard in the NBA right now. Our Pistons, 113-106 over the Brooklyn Nets. We got about 60 seconds left to go in that game. We also have quite a game. I mean, Timberwolves Pacers here, 95-94 right now, 97-94. I'm sorry. Timberwolves on top of the Pacers. Really big back and forth game there. No Karl Anthony Towns for the remainder of the year for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Terrible news they got earlier in the day. 79-73, Mavs over the Heat. Mavs were laying 4.5 right now. And they, big second half, a 25-15 run in the third quarter has propelled them to where they are right now. We also have some college basketball action coming up here, Dave. We've had games all throughout the day, over 63 games here today. We got a lot of the mid-major conferences playing their conference tournaments right now, while, of course, the big boys are finishing out their regular season schedules, and plenty of Pac-12 action to get into here, as the Pac-12 is still up for grabs, which is kind of hard to believe. But we have seen numbers before here, Dave. I don't think we've seen a number like this when teams actually have a pulse. UC Irvine is taking on Cal Poly Slow coming up here tonight. Let's look at these numbers, Dave. We can. Oh, look at that. So 10 grand. I got to lay 10 grand to win 100. If I'm going to go with UC Irvine, 23.5 points. Really? And look at that, Dave. 23.5. The total's 138.5. How many is Cal Poly Slow scoring in this game to help us get this thing over?
Did they score more than Pacific scored today against Pepperdine? I don't know that final score.
Awful.
They got 43 points. They had 9 at halftime. So this is what happens in these matchups, right? Like the really bad teams are done. Okay. I just got a text from a buddy. I hope you bet against Temple because they lost like 100-70. They lost by 30.
Yes. Yep.
No, not many times, Joe. We've both been doing this a long time. What I say out loud, let alone on television and on radio and everywhere else, that I want to lay 23.5 in anything. But there is only one way I would bet this, and it's laying 23.5. You can't. That ain't enough. That ain't enough. Cal Poly Slow is a no. I don't want it. I can't do it. Look at that. I'd never seen a 10K minus 10K for a money line. Like, that's high. We're going to see that. That's a 116 matchup in the tournament in a couple weeks.
Would it change your mind if I told you that just 3 weeks ago, Cal Poly Slow took on UC Irvine, and they lost 84-78? Would it change your mind if I told you that might be – actually, I'm sorry, that was UC Riverside here. But still – if a team can score, and Riverside's not exactly lighting anybody up here, but if a team can score, they did actually play as a 13.5-point dog back in the first week in February. They lost 73-59. They were a 13.5-point dog in that one there. So 14 points they lost. I mean, we're talking about an extra 10 points here from what we've already seen. And I believe this is at home at UC Irvine. It'll be senior night and all of that good stuff there. But, man, 23.5 points. Wow. And by the way, Dave, I mean, they're 13-16 against the number, Cal Poly Slow, this year. It's not like they've gotten bulldozed. They've always been a dog, but 23.5 is just obnoxious, which is exactly why we should probably lay it at this particular point.
What conference is this? Is this the West Coast? No, this is not the West Coast Conference. This is the Big Sky or the Big West or something.
Yeah, Big West. Big West here.
Yeah. This conference tournament is down the street. This conference tournament is here at the Dollar Loan Center next week. I'll be I got to go see this UC Irvine team in person. We got to check this out. If anybody laying 23.5 in the first week of March, got to be a team you may have to maybe make play. They must be okay. Or that Cal Poly Slow team's really bad. What about the Pac-12?
No, they are bad. Here's the deal with the Pac-12 right now. Oregon is boat racing Colorado, by the way, 11-2. But here's the thing. There's a lot of teams still, I think, bubble-esque here. Colorado and Oregon are certainly on the bubble here, Dave. This is kind of a winner-take-all unless they run the table in the Pac-12 champion, which I don't think is going to happen here. But my goodness, this is a must-win game for both Colorado and Oregon. Oregon 12-2 at their own home court here, and they're off and running. But then you've got also Washington State with an opportunity, I believe, to get the regular season all locked up if they beat Washington here coming up tonight. Another big game here. But is any of that going to matter? Because Arizona's winning the Pac-12 championship anyway, aren't they?
Probably. Arizona's a big favorite tonight at
UCLA.
Yeah, you don't see that too often. But I've watched multiple UCLA games, Joe, and you want to talk about offensively challenged? Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's
just not good.
Laying 9 on the road is usually a recipe for a disaster, especially in March. But there's only one way to play this one. It's chalk, and it's laid a favorite. I can't. There's not enough points. We'll wait till the in-game and take, I don't know, 13.5, 14.5, maybe with UCLA, if we're going to even partake in this one. I can't trust UCLA
until
the end.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 is done. I can't believe it. It's over. That's it. There's 2 teams left. They're keeping the name. It's not the same. Somebody just sent me Penn State's football schedule for the fall. They play USC at USC in the Coliseum. I'll probably be there because it's in October. And they play UCLA at home. These conference games are it's going to be so strange. So I'm going to the Pac-12 tournament when it's here. I'm going to soak it up and say I was at the last ever Pac-12 basketball tournament in Las Vegas when Arizona won it. I'm with you, Joe.
Yes.
Arizona's going to win a Pac-12. Are they going to be a 1 seed? Tell me now.
I think very much of if they finish this out strong, if they just run the table through the Pac-12 championship and your champs, I think they will. I think they will absolutely be one of the final number 1 seeds there. But the problem is you can't sleep, and I'm telling you now, do not sleep on USC. They have won 3 of their last 5. But here's the deal with them. Keep in mind, they have either been out with their All-American guards, Boogie Ellis or Isaiah Collier, for most of this season. They are both finally healthy in that lineup, and they are extremely experienced, Dave, extremely good. And don't forget, Arizona State beat USC the first time that they played, but neither of those guys were in the game. They are in the game here tonight. I think USC rolls this, and you just can't sleep on USC all healthy with their All-American guards there. And we've already seen Arizona, unfortunately, lose some games they never should have lost. Don't forget, SC was considered one of the top 2 teams in the conference before the season. And then all the injuries hit. That's a big number. Keep an eye on them.
These teams have a losing record against the spread.
I know.
Got it right here.
It's
14
crazy.
And 15 and 13 and 16. You want to lay these points? I thought you were going to tell me take the dog. You like the favorite?
Nope. Laying them because they're healthy. It's the first time here they have all been healthy on USC. I think it makes a difference in a revenge spot. We'll have more on that game coming up, though, here. In-game live prime time on the grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here on the SportsGrid Network. Plenty going on here tonight on the hardwood. We talked a little college hoops here. We've got some NBA action that's getting ready to close out here, and I do believe that our Detroit Pistons were able to close out the Brooklyn Nets 118-112. That game is in the books. Miami is down 9 now, 91-83. And the Pacers and Timberwolves are knotted up at 105 apiece with a minute to go. Buckle up. That one should be good. And what's happening on the NHL ice tonight is, some interesting scores here so far. And nobody better to talk to him than our good friend George Kurtz steps in here. Dave Sharapan, Joe Raineri. George, 6-2, Flames, Lightning. They just keep scoring. Every time I turn around, Calgary keeps scoring on the Lightning. But is it sad that there's 7.5 minutes to go and I still don't trust the Lightning are done here?
The Lightning are done. I think the Lightning may be done for the season. All right. This is an old and slow team, man. Old and slow team. I understand Vasilevsky didn't come back till about American Thanksgiving. All right, I get that. But it's been 3 months now, 3+ months, and he doesn't look like Vasilevsky anymore. You know, you want to blame part of it on the defense? Okay, sure, they're not the defense they used to be, but he just doesn't look like that guy anymore. Maybe he will next season, whatever it is. But Tampa Bay, they'll probably get in the playoffs, but I think at this point they're just fodder. They'll be the 8th seed, maybe the 7th seed, going to play. Maybe Florida round 1. You battle of Florida there, and I think the Panthers will go right through them, just right through them. Didn't the Panthers beat them 9-2 a couple weeks ago? And that's what they get in. I just think they're an old and slow team here. But it's been an interesting night on the NHL because of all the guys who aren't playing. All right, so many players are being held out, man. Toffoli, Bunting, a couple guys on the Arizona Coyotes, Dumber and Zucker are being held out tonight. So we're going to get a lot more trades in the next 18 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Not so much for Penguin fans. I think they're gutting the team and kind of – it's not a fun night tonight. I told, 6-0. I know you don't care. That's all right. No matter what anybody says, George, you sound great, okay? Don't let them tell you you don't. You sound great.
Give it a minute.
What about tonight? What about tonight? Your boys. Come on, Joe. Come on. We got to get it through this. Come on. Islanders are playing the Sharks. All right. I know you're going to come on and say the Islanders are supposed to win, but are they going to win, George?
Wouldn't this be just like the Islanders? They've won 4 straight games. They beat, Dallas, Detroit, Boston, another good team in there. All right. And now if they come out, if they lay an egg, the game starts in about a little over an hour. If they lay an egg tonight against San Jose, this is why it's so hard to trust the Islanders. You're not laying the 3-10, by the way. All right, so you better take the goal line, which is dangerous to the Islanders. They're not a high-scoring team here. All right, or you got to find a parlay partner. Maybe an anytime goal scorer in here. You want to go with a Bo Horvat or a Brock Nelson? Could sort of see that. It's a game they should win. They have to win. You're on your West Coast swing here. All right, it's annoying to go out west, long trip. I get it, but you're playing San Jose tonight, Anaheim, I believe, on Saturday, and the Kings on Monday. 4 points. All right, it's 4 points there. You're not asking for a whole hell of a lot here. All right, Philadelphia's trading players away. They're in the third place in the Metro right now. That's who the others are really chasing here. You get 4 points there, you might be in a playoff spot come next week. All right, so take care of business. No one's asking you to beat the Kings, but you got to beat the Sharks, got to beat the Ducks, got to take care of beating teams you can beat here. But I'm not laying that 3-10. I'm even coming close. And I said even the 1.5 I don't love here. Give me the Islanders, and I said I think Brock Nelson, anytime goal scorer, is probably how I'm going to attack this game.
Oh, what are you going to do there in Dave's neck of the woods is the Canucks and the Golden Knights. We were talking about this earlier. I'm saying, just like a month and a half ago, we would have been like 6. Give me the over. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that anymore here, Kurtz, with these two teams.
I'm with you here. I probably lean more towards the under in this game. Golden Knights made the big trade for Hannafin, right? So they want to get better on defense for a team that's actually pretty good on defense anyway. I think we're all wondering, are they done on offense? They added Mantha. Are they done? Is that it? We'll see. They're not going to get Gensel. It looks like Gensel's going to Carolina here. So we'll see what they're going to do. If they're going to add any more offensive firepower. But I lean the under as well. I'd probably lean towards the Canucks, even though first person to tell you the Canucks have had problems playing good teams all season long. But the Golden Knights haven't played well of late. All right, no Mark Stone. Eichel just came back on Monday, so maybe once again it takes him a little bit to get into it. Hannafin, if even he does play tonight, you got a little mixed mosh here all over the place here. Give me the Canucks tonight. I like them, but I don't love them. Like I said, the main reason is they've struggled against good teams. They beat who they should beat, and which is what you have to do in the NHL, really any sport here. But they struggle against good teams, and the Vegas Knights are a good team.
They have been a good team. They have been a good team recently. Losers 3 in a row. Giving up the first goal in 8 of their last 9 games. They're trailing every game. I don't know. I'm leaning Canucks, but I'll be watching that one tonight along with the basketball. The Celtics in the Denver game. That's why I'm all geared up in this. Western Conference, though, the Kings hosting the Senators tonight. And like the Senators were just gigantic favorites at the Ducks 2 nights ago. You go down the freeway, actually up the freeway, up the 405, and you go play the Kings, and you go from being minus 1 50 to close minus 200 to now getting plus 160 against the Kings. They lost 2-1 to the Ducks. They're not going to L.A. tonight to win, are they? But this is Kings regulation. This is Kings puck line. Right? Right. Tell me that, please, George.
Yes, definitely right. Okay. Right. And that game was last night, by the way, not 2 nights ago. So they're also playing on back-to-back nights. And the Senators, by the way, they're the USPS team, right? They're mailed it in. They're done. All right. They want the season to end as soon as possible. What is it, third, fourth string goalie playing tonight too? I think Korpisalo is back, but he's not going to start the game, last I heard anyway. So everything's pointing Kings tonight, which means Ottawa wins 6-1. But yeah, I'm on the Kings. I got them in pretty much everything you said. Plus, I have them in a parlay with the Minnesota Wild.
Oh, all right. So, Kurt, you mentioned it here. We got plenty of trades you think are going to happen here over the next 24 hours or so here. I mean, a lot of guys, like you said, sitting out. So when it's all said and done, we talked about, of course, the Panthers, the rich getting richer there. But we're also seeing a few other teams make some moves here, trying to play catch up or just trying to keep up with the Joneses here. What are you thinking so far with what you've seen here? Anybody moving the needle?
Boy, the Colorado Avalanche have done a lot of nice moves here. All right, they got their second-line center, someone there, and Casey Middlestat. They got him yesterday. Someone they haven't had since Nazem Kadri left a couple of years ago. Right, they've been trying to replace that. Now you got Middlestat. It's a huge if here, but if Gabriel Landeskog comes back here, that's a nice second line. That puts Lakeinen down to the third line there. So they can be a dangerous team there. They added Sean Walker, too, to replace Bowen Byram. They added some depth as well today. They've added 4 players in the last couple of days here. So Colorado is going for it. I really want to see Vegas add one more forward here. And they still have their number one pick this year and their number one pick next year to do it. When I see them add one more forward, you added Hanifin. We know Vegas is no fun to play in the playoffs. They're a heavy, heavy team. They bang on you. They wear you down to 6-7 game series. Want to see what they do here. Dave, I know you're down about the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I think they've done a great marketing job on Jake Gensel. Listen, I like Jake Gensel, but when did he become Mike Bossy? All right, I missed this when he became Mike Bossy. All right, I mean, they want like 17 number ones for him in your top 3 projects, maybe your firstborn, and they're going to get it. They're actually going to get it. It looks like from the Carolina Hurricanes. So it's about time the Hurricanes have done something. So I like what the Hurricanes are. As soon as they get Gensel, I like what he could be for that team as well.
They've needed playoff scoring. It's been the thing that has held them back, right? They needed somebody who could go get a goal, do something when they needed it, and not lose a game in overtime or 2-1. Just a general question here, George. I'm watching the Leafs and the Bruins, and it's almost a bench clear every whistle. Face washes, a lot of slashing. You in favor of the fights? Like, I mean, Rempe has brought it back for the Rangers. Every game, he has to answer the bell. I think it has a place in the game. I really do. I think it polices the game. The guys police themselves. They know when to do it and when not to. And we're getting into the spring when it's that type of game again. I like it. What do you think?
Now, you and I come from a different era in hockey, right? Because we've been around. We 70s, 80s, there were fights all the time, right? And let's face it, it was fun. I come from Clark Gillies, Tiger Williams, watching Dave Schultz, and watching these guys just beat the crap out of people. I have no problem with fights. I think there is a place in the game, mainly because when you think fighting out, all these little guys with sticks think they're top dogs here. They slash you with sticks, they hit you because they don't have to worry about someone dropping the gloves and pounding you into a 13th row here. So, yes, I do think there is a place for fighting in the NHL. Listen, do I want to see, some big goon fight somebody who doesn't want to fight? No. But 2 willing combatants, you want to drop the gloves, you want to go at it, go ahead. Listen, and as big as Rempe is, he's a big man here. He got crushed by Olivier on Columbus a couple of weeks ago, right? A little guy. I might say a little guy. He's probably 6 foot, but Rempe's like 7 foot, so he just looks small to him. But yes, to answer your question, I do think there's a place for fighting. A little disappointed NHL has regulated it out so much here. 2 willing combatants, you want to go? Go. I'll watch.
I can't believe 30 seconds left there. Philadelphia scores on the Florida Panthers, and looks like they're going to walk away a winner here. Did not. Looks like they just scored with about 20 seconds left in the third period. Kurtz, pleasure, my man. Good luck with that chalk here tonight. It's a pleasure being able to hear you, too. We'll be back right after this here.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The Books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here on the SportsGrid Network, taking a look at the college scoreboard right now. A lot of eyeballs on the Pac-12 as they're looking to finish out the regular season, namely number 18 Washington State trying to win the regular season here in the Pac-12. Only they're at home and they're battling who else? Washington here right now. It's a 26-18 first half lead for Washington State. So they're looking to hopefully wrap it all up here. But ultimately, they're hoping that maybe, just maybe, Arizona loses here tonight to UCLA. They're laying 9.5 in that game there. We'll have to see if they can get anything done there. But talk to me here also, Dave. Cal Poly looks like money is coming in on Cal Poly slow. I'm just telling you right now. I'm seeing 22.5. So I think cooler heads are prevailing, and they might be taking a look there at that spot for them. 10.5 for USC. I'm starting to see the money come in on USC here as well. And in the NBA, great finish with Minnesota and Indiana. Minnesota gets it done. They were a dog in that one after the cat news. I mean, kudos to them. We'll see if they can keep that up. Anthony Edwards, 44 tonight, and he single-handedly carried the team to beating Indiana on the road. And the Miami Heat, 99-98 with 5 minutes to go in this one here. We were laughing about it in the break, like Dallas just can't win at home, and they can't hold on to leads. I mean, how many more times do we have to read, like, this Dallas is great right up until the point where they lose the game because somebody made a three-point shot or they end up turning the ball over and they shouldn't. I don't think it's a coincidence, this losing streak they're on.
No, it's not a coincidence. By the way, I just took a peek at the Toronto-Boston game. The 50-50 raffle tonight is $318,000. What is going on?
What?
300? It's a regular season hockey game against Toronto. $318,000. That's a lot of people playing. They should hopefully be watching the show. Get a couple plays from us. That's pretty wild. Yeah. Listen, the Mavericks. I don't know how serious you could take them in the playoffs. We're looking now at teams to make a run. Who's going to, like the Lakers. I'm crossing a list off. They're off it in the Western Conference. The Mavericks off it. We had a great graphic earlier, and T was talking about it with us. Who do you think's going to be that one seed in the West? I mean, I still think it's Denver. I still think it means something to them to actually be the one seed. Can you consider the Clippers? Because we're talking about end of games, question marks, things like that. It might be the T-Wolves' year. No?
Yep.
Like they're winning games like they just won. That's a big plus 470. They're going to be 1, 2, or 3, right? Even with the injury, that number may move. Who's your one seed in the West?
Listen, I still think Denver is the best team in the West, and I think the Clippers and OKC are probably right behind them. I just can't trust Minnesota, especially without Karl Anthony Towns. He's such a big part of what that team does, and you need depth. Very few teams can lose a star like that and think that they still have enough to be able to run the tables here. And the problem is look at who they got to run with, right? Like Denver, OKC, the Clippers. Not easy. And I do think the Clippers are just one of these teams that are going to hide and wait. They don't care about the one seed, Dave. They just want to be in it, but they want to make sure they know it's a marathon. They know it's not a sprint. So unlike Phoenix, who is probably panicking a little bit here, trying to figure out how to weather the injury bug and win enough games to possibly stay within the top 6, right? Because nobody wants that playing game. Who the hell wants to be, 7, 8? Who wants to be in those seeds here? But that's kind of, as long as the Clippers feel they're secure enough and being a top 4 seed, I think what you see is you're going to see a Clippers team that is just going to be working on fine-tuning everything, keeping everyone healthy, and then, Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs. A fully healthy Kawhi Leonard is the most dangerous dude out on the court. And it's still going to happen here.
If it ends up with, say, Denver gets the 1 seed, OKC 2, Minnesota 3, and the Clippers 4.
Yep.
We're talking a 7-game death match in the second round between Denver and the Clippers.
That's correct.
That would be... And the other side of the equation, if they both hold court and win as top seeds, would be Minnesota and OKC. I don't know if you want to be 1 or 4. 2 or 3 sounds a hell of a lot better to me because you get the 7-2-7 matchup. Could be the Lakers, could be Golden State, I don't know. This is the Western Conference playoffs are going to be fantastic. I think, those 4 we just mentioned that are viable for the first seed are going to be right there. And then, listen, in a 1-game playoff situation, if the Warriors are back, they're going to be a problem. They can win a playoff series, take one of those teams out. I don't know about Dallas, Joe. I want to like Dallas. I really do. I love Luka. Love watching him play. I've been a big fan of Jason Kidd, but they just don't close games. And the one thing you need to do in the playoffs is close games. And they got a closer. They got the Mariano Rivera in Luka. And I don't know what it is. I don't know. But any other team I think I'm kind of crossing off the list is the Suns. We were talking about it again earlier with Taylor. She's down in Phoenix. We're going to find out a lot about Phoenix on Saturday. I think if they are healthy and have a full lineup Saturday night, that game better be competitive against Boston. And get everybody fooled. They'll get everybody fooled, Joe. If they blow out tonight, they're headed to blowing out Toronto, which, again, we talked about, which they should do. Say they win Saturday. Are they back in your eyes? Suns back?
It's going to be interesting here. I think they're just kind of weather the storm mode, right, for the remainder of a couple of weeks here to finish out the season. Right. They just got to get Booker back, win enough games. I don't even think they care. Nobody wants to be in the play-in spot here, but I don't even think they care at this point. I think they just want to be able to be healthy enough because that's a lot of experience on that team, Dave. So they know, listen, just get in it. We buy enough time, we're good to go. There's no need to overextend, which is my problem with OKC, because you wonder because of how inexperienced they are. I mean, with the youth they have, they're great, very talented. But, man, it's a marathon, not a sprint, man. You got to learn how to, how to win in the playoffs. It's not like the regular season, especially with the competition they're going to be facing. So, you wonder, is there enough, sometimes teams have to lose before they can win here, Dave. That's kind of what I'm thinking OKC has got to go through first before we pencil them in to run the tables.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just took a peek, by the way, at the NHL board. Do you see what happened tonight? You see these big favorites that went down? Edmonton at Columbus, lost 4-2. Tampa at home against Calgary, lost 6-3. The Panthers down by you, lost 2-1 the Flyers. Capitals spoke to Penguins. Joe, did you see the final score? Did you see the final score?
Yes.
Shut out.
Got it, and it's terrible. Terrible.
Shut out. Squadouche.
So much for the 6.5.
Shut out at home to the Capitals. The total was 6.5. One team scores 6 and you lose. That's like one team scoring 102 in a college basketball game, and you got over 150 and you lose. Shouldn't happen. But that's sports betting.
Nope.
That's March. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the problem. It will drive you absolutely bonkers. And by the way, Dallas holding on by a hair here, 103-101. And it looks like, a big, there you go. Doncic 3 just puts them up 106-101. Still 2.5 to go in the game here. And this is what Miami does. They will just nitpick and return to 3, which they just did. So 106-104, buckle up. That's how this ending is going. This is how this game is going to end back and forth. Yep. Is it Jimmy Butler? Terry Rozier finally having a game, by the way, for the Miami Heat after this trade. He has basically been doing it all for them. And it's Doncic against Rozier is what it looks like right now in the final minute and a half. We'll let you know how that game ends up. But you didn't tell me here. Knights or Canucks here getting ready to drop top of the hour. Who are you leaning towards? The under?
No. The game go over. The Knights have become an over team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been an over team. They're giving up way too many goals. Vancouver, first period. The Knights have been trailing and giving up the first goal. I think it was 8 of 9. So, little sneaky play there. Canucks to win the first period. The first period probably over. For the game, I'm leading Canucks. Again, we'll see. The Knights made a trade. We'll see them change their whole thing. I'll start going to practice. I had so much fun last year. I was going to practice during the Stanley Cup run. I really enjoy going to hockey practice. I wish I was on the ice, but I get to sit and watch those guys and You start to see when the belief happens. So we'll be doing that. Of the NBA dogs tonight, Joe, you got your choice of Denver, Chicago, or San Antonio. Seems like an obvious choice if you're going to pick one dog of the three. But you never pick the obvious choice, Joe. Which one are you picking?
No, I'm
dressed
think
like
you
Jokic,
can,
so you know I'm picking. I got Denver.
I'm with the Nuggets. I just think it's disrespectful. I think if these two teams, making the Celtics a favorite in this spot on the road it's just disrespect. You're basically saying that they're a million miles ahead of every. You can't give them the favorite. They were a 7-point favorite when Denver visited them back in January, and the Nuggets ended up winning by 2. Now they come out there and what? They're still you're gonna spot them 2 points on their own home court. And I don't think we're crazy here, Dave, but one of the more valuable home courts in the NBA in Denver. And you're still giving them points? You're basically saying the Celtics are heads and tails above everybody else, including the champs. I just don't see it that way. I think Denver has got a shot in this game to win it outright. I don't understand the pricing. I really don't know. The market is just overreacting to Boston because they lost the last game on the road. I don't get it.
Sometimes you sit in the book. Sometimes you log into your phone, you see a number, and you go, no. I saw this open at this yesterday and went, no.
Yep.
Again, it could be wrong. It could be wrong, but I'm with you. I didn't realize it was that high when they were in Boston. That's why this number is what it is, because it was that high.
Yep.
Now, again, I don't know how high can you have the power ratings on the Celtics that you have them on the road favored against every team. They're favored against every team. Hard to believe.
Yep. Number is a little disrespectful here, but we are just a couple of minutes away from the opening tip. We'll have some final thoughts on those games when InGame Live wraps it up next here on the Grid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. It's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we wrap up this edition here of In-Game Live Prime Time. Don't go anywhere. There's much more to get to. As Gabe Morency will step in here in just a couple of minutes and carry you through the rest of the slate of games. Dave, a couple of interesting games getting ready to tip off here. I think you and I were on the same page when it comes to the Nuggets here tonight. And you are expecting an over in Vancouver and the Las Vegas Knights. And I think we both agree that, in fact, we should probably fade Kurtz and the Islanders here and just back the Sharks to get it done night, right? Is that it, correct? I mean, I think that's the...
Why is Kurt still catching strays? He's off the show. Let him go.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Alone.
Islanders on the... You listen, the Sharks, this is the kind of game, because I think he nailed it, though. This is the game the Islanders lose, right?
Yeah.
Plus 240.
Right. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just
Minus
saying. This is the game the Islanders lose.
I can't
I know.
understand the pricing. Like, it's so hard to price an average team, and I don't mean to take a shot at Georgia's team, but the Islanders are an average team, and they're playing a really bad team, so you make them minus 310? It's a lot.
I'm with you.
That's a lot.
I'm with
Plus
you.
a goal and a half with the Sharks. If you don't want to go money line, it's probably going to be a sweat. It's probably going to be close. That's where I'm at with that. Caruso props, we have to do it. I mean, they're playing.
We already took him.
Taylor.
Yep.
The headband.
Yep.
That's got to be.
And listen, you mentioned what's the dog tonight, right? Of these late games here, Nuggets, Bulls, and Spurs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sleep on the Bulls. I wouldn't sleep on. Why?
On the second end of a back-to-back, yes. That's that.
They're
right?
both off.
Yeah.
Just saying. Nobody hurt.
What are we talking
Everyone
about
looks
tomorrow
good.
with the Celtics and Denver? Denver wins.
Oh, we're talking about how they were disrespected and Denver wins, and now the Celtics are on a losing streak.
Love it.
Gabe, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Gabe
Yes,
Morency coming up next year on the grid. Enjoy your night.